Good evening. Thank you, Ignite Baltimore, for the opportunity. My name is Radames, and today I would like to talk to you about melanin and why we are sending it to space. So after all these years, we are finally going back. We are going back to the moon by 2024, this time including the first female. After that, Mars. So without a doubt, we are living in a very exciting time. In order to solve this, we need to overcome many challenges. Space is a very hostile environment. A lot of temperature fluctuations, big temperature fluctuations, and radiation. Radiation is a big problem. And we need to find ways that we can protect our astronauts and equipment against this radiation, which is dangerous and damaging. Luckily, biology has been dealing with the problem of radiation and temperature for a long time, eons of evolution. And one way biology solve or deal with this problem of radiation and temperature is via a special class of biomolecules called melanins. Melanins are pigments, not hormones. That's melatonin. Melanin is a pigment that is found everywhere. Look around you. We're covered by this stuff. Animals, plants, fungi, bacteria, they all express melanin. And they serve multiple functions in biology. I like to classify them in three big groups. First, visual communication. So if you're an organism that can see, or vision is relevant to you, you may use melanin to decrease or increase visual communication. The chameleon uses melanin to camouflage. This peacock is using melanin for attention, to compete for attention. That's one. The other big role of melanins in biology is protection. And we are very familiar with that, right? So melanin protects against ultraviolet radiation. It absorbs that frequency and dissipates it into heat, therefore protecting the underlying tissue. Thus, UV protection is not the only way melanin protects. Some organisms use melanin to fight off infections. Their entire immune system is based on melanin. And finally, the last big role of melanin has in biology is heat capture, energy capture. Many organisms rely on melanin to capture heat from the sun and maintain comfortable body temperatures and adapt to different thermal environments. That's called thermomelanism. Usually observed in cold-blooded organisms like animals and plants, but fungi, the fungal kingdom, a very primitive form of life, also produce melanins. In fact, a wide variety of melanins and pigments. And until very recently, we found out that in fact also fungi uses melanins to capture heat and regulate temperature and adapt to thermal environments. Again, this is called thermomelanism. And that's what I do in the lab. I'm a scientist. 4 years ago, I started working on this. I use black fungi as a model system to study how melanin interacts with radiation and dissipates heat. And I am interested in black fungi because some of these species are able to survive in one of the most extreme environments here on Earth, like Antarctica, for instance. Some of these environments have high radiation. We learn a lot from what happened in the Chernobyl disaster several years ago, where we noticed that observations were made where melanotic microorganisms were not only surviving in these environments, they were thriving in these high levels of radiation. So this stimulated a lot of research, summarized in this article, that suggested that melanin, fungal melanins perhaps are able to protect against different types of ionizing radiation, similar to the ones that we find in space. So we isolated melanin from fungi and generated this new biomaterial that by the end of this month is going to be flying up to space, up to the International Space Station, where it's going to be exposed for 6 months to the real space environment. And after those 6 months, it's going to come back and we're going to measure how well or how stable melanin is in this environment, and how good of a shielding material it is. So I hope that you learned something new about melanin today, that you're now interested in learning more about melanin, about its several functions, about its remarkable properties of these pigments, and how we can use some of these properties and harness them to create biotechnologies and biomaterials that can help humanity or solve some of the biggest challenges as we venture into becoming a multiplanetary species. Thank you.